Just like having the right information is necessary to make solid hiring and lending decisions, being engaged in our community is important. DataFax is proud to support the positives and be a presenting sponsor of the Spark.
State Systems is focused on protecting life and property. As a local, privately owned company, our foundation was built on providing all businesses with complete fire and security protection and infrastructure cabling. State Systems is proud to be a part of the Mid-South community and a presenting sponsor of the Spark.
Lipscomb and Pitts Insurance has been serving the Mid-South since 1954. We've always focused on supporting our community and believed in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb and Pitts is proud to be a presenting sponsor of the Spark.
Additional funding for the Spark provided by Christian Brothers University and Power and Tell.
This month on The Spark, our theme is employment. We'll learn more about an organization that's been working for more than 100 years to give people with barriers to employment the job skills training, resources, and support for a positive work experience. We'll explore a nonprofit serving the under-resourced through outreach programs, daily classes and meals, educational training, and spiritual counseling that lead to hope and jobs. And we'll discuss how a company known for matching businesses with top talent is also helping to fulfill the needs in our community. Have you ever been excited by a new idea, inspired by watching someone lead by example? When we talk about creating change, we start by sharing the stories of everyday heroes who are making a difference in their own way, so we can learn and do the same. This truth is the power behind this show, which is focused on business and community leaders that are leading by example to give back, fuel change, and create new opportunities for the Mid-South. I'm Jeremy Park, and this is The Spark. They're helping to match businesses with top talent and fulfill needs in our community. I'm here with the managing partner for Vaco Memphis, Kurt Johnston, and you are tied locally, nationally, all the above to Vaco in terms of your efforts. But give us a little bit of the history for Vaco Memphis.
Vaco was started in Nashville in '02. The Memphis office was the first office outside of Nashville. So we've been around for now just over 10 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Decade in existence. And with that, obviously, a lot of growth. You've been recognized. Inc. magazine is one of the fastest growing companies. And when you look at starting with IT and finance and now expanding into logistics and marketing and even risk solutions, give us a little bit of the expertise in terms of what you do actually with Vaco Memphis.
Okay, what we do is primarily two things. We place people on a project basis and also on a permanent basis. So in general, that's true in most of our groups. So we have technology, finance and accounting, and our newest group is the logistics group that is really unique to the Memphis office.
It makes sense right here though, right?
It does. It does. We've got so much distribution, supply chain, et cetera. And so it's very much an underserved part of our community from our perspective. So we've been able to build that group and build it fairly quickly and make inroads, and it's really one of our fastest growing groups.
And what about risk solutions? I think this is really interesting when you talk about cybersecurity and compliance and the credit card breaches and things like that, finding someone that can really go in and look at it from a strategic but also a tactical level. Talk about risk solutions.
Yeah, that's a group that we built in Memphis, and it really has become more of a national practice for us. And you're right, they're focused on cybersecurity, data security in general. A lot of it has been around credit card, PCI compliance, and also HIPAA, and then general data security. And obviously, with some of the well-publicized breaches, that's kind of a hot topic. And so those are some of our fastest growing areas.
Sure, makes sense. And you know, one of the things that makes you unique is the fact that your employees, your team, all come from those industries. So these are, in a way, highly regarded experts that you're bringing onto your team that then can speak the lingo, they know exactly what to look for. Share with us kind of the philosophy in terms of when you look at building out your team, what does that look like?
Yeah, we really build our teams and our recruiters around the industries that they serve. So for example, in our finance group, all of those ladies are former Big Four CPAs. So they are able to get deeper with clients and really understand their requirements, but also really as they're interviewing people, really be able to get deep and really understand and make the right match for our clients.
And so you sit on both sides. You're working with the businesses to match the top talent. You're also, too, working with the individuals to make sure that they find a great career. Share with us, let's start on the business side. Share with us maybe one tip for businesses in terms of matching the best talent and finding the best talent.
I think that there's so much out there on the web. You can find a million resumes, but you're still left with the same problem, which is evaluating talent and really having the ability to compare and contrast lots of talent. And so given the volume that we see week in and week out, we know where the best people are, and we know how to compare them against the other people on the market. Whereas, I think with a lot of companies, they may get a resume and they really don't know if it's the best one.
Sure.
That's one thing. Another thing we're seeing a lot with our clients is very prevalent in technology, and that is a contract to hire. And that's becoming more and more prevalent because it allows people to get talent in the door quickly, but also kind of watch them work, see how they work in their environment and their culture, and make sure they're a fit. So it's really a good thing for both sides.
Nice. And then flip it over and give us maybe one tip for those that are looking for employment. What's a good tip for them?
Well, when I think of resumes, I think that a lot of people tend to put company titles that may or may not mean anything to the outside world. So I recommend certainly list your title, but spend more time on the bullet points underneath that really describe what you do every day. In the instance that you've saved the company money, certainly
that's a big deal, right?
Certainly add that to your resume as well.
So making sure that they have the stats and the metrics and things like that really articulate. And I like that point, is don't rely on the title to describe what you did and what you do and what you've been successful with, is really use the bullet points to be able to share and make sure and really kind of lay that out there with the bullet points.
That's right.
So let's kind of talk about the real reason for having you on the show is the philanthropy. And I think when I look at your team heavily involved in terms of serving on boards, volunteering here in the community, getting engaged financially with your time, your resources, all the above, give us an overall idea of your philosophy when it comes to community engagement.
I would say that we both focus on the industries that we serve, so industry groups. We've come up with our own networking events and that kind of thing. We sponsor the CFO of the Year Awards. Obviously, that's kind of our target market. In technology, we support user groups heavily. So those are examples on that side. And then really on the charitable side, lots of us are on boards or serve in some capacity. Probably every employee we have is involved in one or both of those sides of the house.
Sure.
And it's just something that we are fortunate to be in the situation we feel. And there's definitely a culture of giving back within our office.
And that's the part I love, is whether it's the World Trade Club, SHRM on the organization side, and then on the charitable side, it's First Tee, it's Girls Inc., it's University of Memphis and their LEAD program, it's Orphanos. I mean, you cover such a huge spectrum there. Let's start with Orphanos, because I know there's a personal storyline there, but you have very unique stories and successes with each of these organizations. Orphanos, I know you've gone over the edge where you actually get to rappel down the Hilton Memphis, all for a good cause. Right. But the work that they're doing around the world with orphanages and just helping children is amazing. But you have gone a step further with VACO Memphis and kind of underwritten the cost of a staff member for them to help them. Talk about Orphanos.
That's right. Well, Orphanos is near and dear to my heart, and I've been fortunate to actually go to the Amazon and see some of the partner homes that we support, and they've come to Memphis as well. So it is just a great thing for our company to know that we're able to do that, and I think it's very gratifying for everybody to know that we can support an organization like that. And as we've tried to grow, Orphanos is a 100% pass-through organization, so we keep it pretty lean, and so in order to grow, we needed another employee. And so VACO was in the position to fund half of that person's salary. So we do that, and I know that our office really enjoys that we can do that, and it's kind of a feel-good thing for us, but it really is a big help for Orphanos.
And I know the University of Memphis LEAD program is another success, and you've got a number of your associates that serve on that board, and that program is a leadership program for all the different schools and different majors. But give us the success story with the University of Memphis LEAD program.
Yeah, it's been gratifying again to be able to place a couple of the graduates, given that that's what we do. We placed a couple of them with our client companies, and we certainly hope that that's a trend that'll continue. But it's nice to be able to do that, to mentor them and then actually be able to place them in a real job right after school.
See, I think that's the part that you're using all of your resources, whether they're financial, your expertise, to be able to make a difference and help. So absolutely love everything you're doing, not only on the business front, but more importantly on the community front. So thanks for coming on the show and sharing it.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
They're a nonprofit helping the under-resourced in our community find hope and a job. I'm here with the Executive Director for HopeWorks, Ron Wade, and give us a little history lesson on HopeWorks.
Thanks, Jeremy. HopeWorks began 27 years ago. It started with a need in the community. A church in the northern part of the city tried to help people who needed housing issues. And then there was a church in the southern part of the city, and their interest was providing health and hygiene products, because sometimes people who are on welfare, they can't buy anything other than just food, so they tried to fit that need. They combined those needs together and started a program. Actually, it was initially called Memphis Area Cooperative Services, trying to get cooperation between faith-based communities. Ended up being MAX, a nonprofit group, transitioned into HopeWorks. And so that was an idea, a vision that was cast, and now 27 years later, we're providing hope and jobs.
And that's the part of it to me that's brilliant, is you've got your facility and you do classes, you feed them, you take care of them in a number of different ways, and then obviously you've got the support services and all the curriculum that goes along with them, so you kind of match where they are with where they want to go and where they need to go. Right. So let's dive in. So talk about the programs overall with HopeWorks.
Okay. The signature program is one we identify as a personal and career development program. And in that, we'll interview 80 people at a time. We'll take 40, and then about 20, we'll lose 25 to 30%. And the reason we lose them is because they don't have good attendance, and we do random drug tests. So what we can tell an employer at the end of that 13-week period is that we have someone who has good attendance, who's drug-free, and who's ready to work. Most of the curriculum involved is job readiness skills, identifying a career path that the student would want to go into. There's some mentoring surrounding the student. There's an internship also provided. And so at the end of the day, the graduation part, then you have someone who's ready to work, who's motivated, and who has a good track record with us.
And has the skill sets as well.
Absolutely.
So, and I know what's interesting is just seeing some of the graduations. I mean, these are life-changing events for the individuals that are going through your program. They all come from different walks of life. Some have been incarcerated, some have been homeless. I mean, so it covers a very broad spectrum. But what's really interesting is you dive into the personal development too. So it's not just the professional development, the skills training, and the GED. It's actually too, I mean, they're kind of mapping out what they've gone through and where they want to go. It's very personal.
That's true. And one of the things that we try to do is get the student to identify a career path they'd like to go into, because regardless of what job that you have, you're going to have a bump along the road. So the idea is, once that bump comes, is that you stay in the program. And oftentimes someone who's chronically unemployed, they may not have a problem with the boss or a problem with the hours, but they may have a disagreement with a coworker and just walk off the job. So we try to teach some conflict resolution skills, just to make sure that they stay on the job.
Well, and staying on the job is a great transition, because you not only help them find the job, but you're also too now really heavily focused on making sure that they keep their job.
That's true. Sometimes it's easier to get a job than it is to keep a job. And so what we found out in the last 2 years, about 200 students have been employed. We had a really aggressive workforce development piece. But then we found that sometimes getting a job is easier than keeping it. So we've employed 2, we call them job retention specialists. They'll work alongside the employer. They'll check in with them on a quarterly basis, see how they're doing, and actually make some differences with the employer. So it's a win-win. The employer wins because their attrition rate goes down.
Sure.
The student wins because he's got a job, and then the city wins.
Absolutely. So when you take that to the next step, you've had what, about 1,000 graduates at this point?
Exactly.
That's pretty impressive. Give us maybe one success story. I know you've got obviously many, but I've heard you over the years share some really amazing success stories. Give us one that stands out to you.
Well, they're just hard to pick from. One of the ones, though, that might be the most dramatic, and all of them aren't quite as dramatic, but We had a young lady several years ago that had an unfortunate incident in the streets of Memphis. She was raped. She contracted HIV and came to Hope Works. We surrounded her with a lot of love and compassion. One of the things that we did on the career part is identify an area that she could serve in. She went to work with Methodist Le Bonheur as an HIV instructor, educating other people who had HIV, and did such a good job that they hired her. She has spoken to both Bushes and President Obama to advocate for funding for HIV research. So here's someone has the lowest point in life, in Memphis city streets, and has spoken to arguably the
most powerful people in our nation. Absolutely.
Right.
So, talk about from the public standpoint. How can we help? I know that you have a Morning of Hope. It's a big event where you have a national guest speaker come in. You have a ton of volunteer opportunities to come in. Give us an idea what that looks like.
Well, one of the things that we do each year is we have a Morning of Hope, and we just had that. Lucille O'Neill, Shaquille O'Neal's mother, spoke and did a tremendously great job. She identified with a lot of the students, in our class. In fact, it easily could have been her as a 17-year-old pregnant lady in our class. And so we try to get speakers who really make a message with the student. So that we do that each spring. In June this year, however, we're focusing on the reentry part. Over 50% of our students have some incarceration issue. And so we're having a national jail and prison ministry workshop. It's in June 10th through 12th. We're having people from all over the country come and speak. And so this is a time when someone who could volunteer and learn more about the challenges of reentry could come and learn about that.
Perfect. So tell viewers where they can learn more about this and HopeWorks in general.
Really, our website, Why Hope Works, whyhopeworks.org is the best place. Or you could contact us. We're at 1930 Union Avenue, which is right next door to Channel 5 News.
We greatly appreciate everything you're doing in our community to lift and to help, and greatly appreciate you coming on the show and sharing.
Thanks, Jeremy.
They're working to give people with barriers to employment the technical skills, the training, the support necessary for a positive work experience. I'm here with the Goodwill Job Center manager, Christina Wirt with Memphis Goodwill. When you look at overall Goodwill, a 100-year legacy started by Reverend Helms, taking items that were a little bit broken or needed repair and hiring individuals that might face barriers to employment, but giving them a job to repair these items, these clothings and all sorts of things, and to be able to sell them to then come back to fund the efforts and grow it. And when you look at what's going on here in Memphis with Memphis Goodwill, absolutely amazing. So give us a little bit of a teaser for Memphis Goodwill.
Yes, we have over 700 employees in the Mid-South area working at the Goodwill stores, in the ADCs, and with our contracts. So it's amazing how many people we're able to serve.
And that's where, when you look at the centers that you see around and having the ability to donate items and obviously then repair them and sell them in the stores, it all comes back to fund your efforts. And a big part, obviously, of what you do is job creation and technical skills and training at the Job Center.
Yes.
So give us a little bit of an overview for the Goodwill Job Center here.
The Goodwill Job Center helps job seekers prepare to become employed. We want to let them know what's out in the community, what jobs are available with the different area businesses. When you come into the Job Center, you'll meet with an employment specialist. At that meeting, you will have your individual assessment. With that assessment, the employment specialist is going to get to know you, going to know what you like, what you don't like, your goals, your skills, what you've done in the past, what you want to do in the future. You're also going to have an individual plan, and this plan will give you an opportunity to utilize the free services that we have at Goodwill.
You like that word free?
The free services are amazing. We have our basic computer skills class, our job readiness class, our developing resume class, Everything is free at the center. We also have an area where you can do just job search on your own. We have a computer table. We have about 6 computers on the outside that's available for free to anybody that wants to come in.
Nice.
We also have our training classes. We have a warehouse training and a janitorial training class.
And obviously those are two, when you look at the job segments, especially with the logistics here in Memphis, warehousing is huge.
Exactly.
And so to be able to learn, and I know on your end, kind of walk us through the training aspect, because it's soft skills, it's the hard skills, the technical skills, all the above.
Each training class is about 2 weeks long, and like you said, we have the soft skills where you're learning the basics of what's going to go on, what you need to know, how to do certain things. And then you have that second week where you have those hard skills, where you're actually going into our warehouse that we have in the back that we've set up to train you on, and the janitorial part where you're actually learning how to clean properly and know what to do and what not to do.
So on your end, I know that you can set an appointment, you can also walk in, you have a physical location where people come. Give us a little bit of the nuances with that.
Okay. Our physical location is at 3830 Austin Peay Highway, Memphis, Tennessee. You can reach us at 901-387-6745. We are open Monday through Friday from 8 to 4:30, and we're located right next to the actual Goodwill store on Austin Peay.
Nice. And so on your end, you're working with the businesses and you're also obviously working with the individuals. So you see it on both sides. And obviously a big part of what you're trying to create is this network of businesses that will hire these individuals. And so creating those relationships. Give us some more detail on that side of things in terms of working with the businesses, finding the opportunities, creating opportunities.
Right. A lot of our employers, we get to know them from our job fairs. We have a lot of job fairs that we've hosted at the actual job center, and we get to know the employers through the relationships we've built with the clients we've been able to place with them. That's kind of how we build that network. A lot of companies call us and say, hey, we have this position open. Do you have anybody you can send out to us? So I kind of go through the database and look and see who we can send out, and we set that up with them. So we keep that networking relationship with our employers.
And these job fairs, I mean, these are hundreds of people coming out at a time, right?
Yes, our last job fair, we had about 500 clients come out for the job fair alone. It was amazing.
So give us, one tip in terms of working with businesses. We'll kind of go both sides, but when you talk about working with the businesses, give us one tip that you would recommend to them in terms of finding the right match and finding the best talent.
Being very precise on what you need. That job description needs to say exactly what you need from a person, because some people might read it one way and think differently than what the employer is actually asking for.
Nice.
Yes.
Very sage advice.
Yes.
What about the individual? So that person that's looking for employment, what would you tell them?
Be prepared. Know what you want to do when you're doing it. Have that resume ready. Come out to the job center. Let us help you become prepared for that job that you want to have.
Nice. And I know you also have, is it Hardaway Hall?
Yes, it is. Hardaway Hall is an amazing setting. Hardaway Hall is a community room that's available for nonprofit organizations for free. It was named after Penny Hardaway, who is one of our former board members and a great fan of Goodwill. It seats about 35 to 45 people, and it is equipped with the smart boards in the room itself. The hall is spectacular. When you see it, you're amazed at what you're seeing. And again, it's free for any nonprofit organization.
And that's the part I love, is that, when you look at everything you're doing, it's focused obviously on giving people opportunities, knocking down those barriers, but also too, you make it where it's fully accessible to help other nonprofits as well. You're a part of the community and spreading goodwill.
Exactly, and those barriers are what make people unemployable, and that's what we're there for. And if a client comes in and they say, I don't have my high school diploma, I don't have my GED, well, we have the Excel Center.
Right.
The Excel Center is a free school for Shelby County adults 18 or older.
And that's, to me, the magic of what you're doing is, it's going beyond just one element now. It's tackling all of these areas, and so it's not, the silver bullet over here. It's no, we're going to have a holistic approach to this, where if you need the GED and the schooling to get you on track, we have the Excel Center. If you need help with the resumes and the soft skills and the hard skills and finding a job, we have the Job Center. And then we also have all the donation centers and the opportunities in the stores to be able to take in and sell, to be able to activate and fund all of our efforts.
Exactly.
What would you tell the public in terms of, obviously companies with needs, you can help. What are some other ways that the public can help, especially with the Job Center? Are there opportunities for us to help your efforts?
Definitely. Any donation that you give to the Job Center, to the Goodwill store, helps with the Job Center and other mission services that Goodwill has. Please go in your closets, spring clean. It's time to get rid of that gently used stuff. bring it to us. We need to help the people that we are helping.
And that's where I think when you look at it is little things like that can make a huge difference. And it does. When you look at what you're doing by being able to donate items, whether it's spring cleaning, whether it's summer, whether it's after the holidays and you've got all these new toys in your house and cleaning out the old ones, all of that comes back to fund your efforts. And it really is immensely important.
We appreciate every one of our clients and every one of our donators and every one of our shoppers that come into the Goodwill store.
So what's the easy way for the public to learn more about Memphis Goodwill and all the great ways to plug in?
You can come out to our store at 3830 Austin P, Memphis, Tennessee 38128. You can contact us at 901-387-6745 or goodwillmemphis.org.
You just rattled that off. That was perfect. So I greatly appreciate everything you're doing in the community and for coming on the show and sharing it.
Thank you so much.
One of my favorite quotes is, "You can't be what you can't see." The Spark starts with seeing a future, seeing an opportunity to have a career and fulfill our dreams, employment that can help us take care of ourselves and our families. Once you start to see that path in your life, you have purpose and hope for a brighter future. That's the beauty of what we saw this month and what we see every day here in the Mid-South. Organizations like Memphis Goodwill and their Job Center and Excel Center and Hope Works are reaching out to offer the technical skills, training, the food and clothing, counseling, and even the professional polish like etiquette training and resume writing to those who need help. And they're taking it a step further to provide jobs and connect individuals to employment opportunities. Companies like Vaco play a vital role in not only hiring these employees, but placing them in opportunities to thrive. Indeed, employment is the engine for growth for individuals, for families, and for our city. So thank you for watching The Spark. To learn more about each of the guests and to interact with your stories of others leading by example, visit thesparktv.org. We look forward to seeing you next month, and we hope that you'll join with us in creating a spark for the Mid-South.
Just like having the right information is necessary to make solid hiring and lending decisions, being engaged in our community is important. DataFax is proud to support the positives and be a presenting sponsor of The Spark.
State Systems is focused on protecting life and property. As a local, privately owned company, our foundation was built on providing all businesses with complete fire and security protection and infrastructure cabling. State Systems is proud to be a part of the Mid-South community and a presenting sponsor of The Spark.
Lipscomb & Pitts Insurance has been serving the Mid-South since 1954. We've always focused on supporting our community and believed in promoting the positives, encouraging engagement, and leading by example. Lipscomb & Pitts is proud to be a presenting sponsor of The Spark.